I'm trying out this new mic, and technically it's supposed to clip on the lapel, but I didn't like the way that it sounded, so I kind of wanted to just hold it right here, but that was really hard to do. So I attached it to this hair clip, and I feel like I have a wand. Anyways, welcome back if you're returning, and nice to meet you if you're new. My name is Mac. My pronouns are she, they, and today I'm talking about dynamic disability, Disability Pride Month, and what dynamic disability means for me in my body. I'm drinking electrolytes. Make sure you grab something to hydrate as well. I feel like I should say, and you're watching Disney Channel. I want to give a quick little audio description for you. My dark black hair is up in a high bun. I am wearing very light makeup and have some dangly blue earrings on. I'm wearing my Apple Watch with my Pride band, and my shirt is a blue-white pinstriped button down, and I have the sleeves rolled. I'm sitting in my normal filming space in my little office nook with blue and beige posters behind me with some mobility aids to my right and my dance shoes on my left. Let's get into it. July is Disability Pride Month. Disability Pride is a concept that is newish to me. New as in like the past year is something that I've really tried to figure out how to embody. But if I'm being super, super honest, having pride around my new dynamic disabilities has been really, really hard, especially in the beginning. Before I get into how it makes me feel, let's give a quick definition. What is dynamic disability? What does that even mean? All of the definitions that I'm finding online are relatively the same, but I like the way that this really clarifies the difference between a dynamic disability and a static disability. A dynamic disability refers to a condition or impairment that varies in severity and impact over time. Unlike a static disability, such as an amputation or paralysis, which remains constant, a dynamic disability may have periods of remission or exacerbation. When I first started going disabled, I had no idea what was going on, and it was so easy to gaslight myself, which made it so much easier for doctors to gaslight me as well, because my symptoms were not all the time, and I could not for the life of me pinpoint what triggered them, where they came from, why they were happening, because they were varying in severity and impact. Speaking of varying in impact, wow, my back is killing me. I'm going to be shifting positions quite a bit in this video. So when I first heard the definition of dynamic disability, my mind was blown because it gave me something somewhat tangible to grasp onto, especially since at the time I don't think I had any diagnoses yet. Maybe I was starting to get some, but like even to this day, I don't think I have the full picture of my diagnosis list. But at the time, it was very, very new to me still. And I was so like insecure about calling myself disabled and claiming that word, that identity, because some days I could be able-bodied passing. I could go about my day sometimes without any mobility aids, without my service dog. And if you were to just see me walking on the street, you wouldn't know that I was disabled. Sometimes that would be called an invisible disability. An invisible disability is exactly what it sounds like. It's a disability that cannot be seen or visible. It's not detectable just by looking at a person. Once you have something like a mobility aid or a service dog or some kind of like an amputation would be a visible disability. Someone using a wheelchair, that's a visible disability. So because my symptoms were fluctuating so much, I would only leave the house when I was feeling good. I was not in a flare-up. And so then I was able-bodied passing. Eventually, I bought my first cane. I was really embarrassed to bring that around for a while. There was just a lot of shame attached to needing assistance for me in the beginning. I have come a really long way in what pride looks like, but in the beginning for me, because I didn't have a diagnosis, and then because my symptoms were fluctuating so much, I didn't feel like I was allowed to claim the identity disabled, because some days I didn't feel disabled and other days I did. I thought I had to feel disabled 100% of the time. Then once I really started to dive into this dynamic disability definition and dive into the community on social media between TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, I really found some great representation of people with dynamic disabilities, people with invisible disabilities. And I just started learning so much about the spectrum of disabilities. There's such a range of disability, of support needs, and within that range, the dynamically disabled community falls in various areas on that spectrum. As time progressed and I had more hours, days, weeks, months, eventually years under my belt of living with dynamic disability, the more I learned to claim that title. But that still didn't necessarily mean that I was proud to be disabled. If I'm being totally honest, I'm being really transparent here. And even up to within the past year, especially, I've really been wrestling with this idea of disabled pride. I preached on ableism before I left my church job. And then I went into audition season where I was choosing to fully claim being openly disabled, bringing my cane in the room, bringing the service dog in the room. I think especially as I started to be more in somewhat of the public eye, as I was navigating this new territory of just being transparent about it, not hiding from it, not letting it be invisible, I started to experience more of a fluctuation between pride and shame. There wasn't just one or the other. I started to experience moments of feeling proud of myself for learning how to advocate for my needs, speaking up about access needs, proud of the bravery that it took to bring my service dog into an audition setting in New York City. There are so many different moments of pride that I can think of. There are also so many moments of frustration, disappointment, shame. And when I think of those moments, they all come back to inaccessibility. It all comes back to something else that was outside of my control, something else that proved that the world is not made for someone who is disabled. Or if it wasn't some outside factor, those moments of frustration and disappointment and shame that I think of are when I am having a flare up and my symptoms are on the more severe side of my disability. And it's infuriating because it's not in my control. In those moments, I really struggle to understand what disabled pride means to me. And then recently, my perspective really shifted when I saw Andrew Gurza post something on Instagram. Their Instagram handle is Andrew Gurza6. I'll put it up on the screen. And based on their little bio on Instagram, they are severely disabled and they are a disability awareness consultant, pronouns they, he. Andrew Gurza, great person to follow. You should definitely go follow them. They posted something and they said, Happy Disability Pride. Remember, disability pride doesn't mean you have to like being disabled every day, but you strive for a better disabled world. Disability pride doesn't mean you have to like being disabled every day, but you strive for a better disabled world. It makes me emotional now reading it back. It's so clear and concise. It really captures the depth and complexities of everything I've been feeling the past 3 years that I've been wrestling with becoming disabled. It's very brand new to me. I'm someone with relatively low support needs. And so I'm really trying to learn from those with higher support needs, learn from people who are severely disabled, like Andrew. And man, you don't have to like being disabled every day, but you strive for a better disabled world. And that is exactly what disability pride means to me. That is such a definition that I can really get behind. Disability justice, advocacy, striving for a better disabled world. It similarly reminds me to queer pride. We've come a long way. There's still a long way to go, but I'm still proud of being a part of this community. And when I try to compartmentalize these different communities that I belong to, these different identities that I lie in, when I try to ignore the intersectionality, I completely miss the point. When in doubt, the answer lies within the intersectionality. That is what I have learned recently. I love the fact that we go from LGBTQIA2S plus Pride Month right into Disability Pride Month, especially now that I've sort of had this aha moment of the intersectionality and how I can learn from it. I'm so glad that year after year, I'm going to have this natural transition from June Pride Month to July Disability Pride Month. It has this like built-in reminder for me every year, and looking at it like that makes me excited. Because yes, Pride, June, Gay Pride is flashy, and Disability Pride Month is a lot quieter. Not a lot of people know about it, it seems, or maybe they just don't care. There's not a lot of flashy colors. Maybe it's because I'm looking out for it, but I have seen more non-disabled people or organizations posting about Disability Pride Month this year than last year. And so I'm hoping that it keeps going in that direction. And I'm hoping that we can keep posting videos like this and advocating and educating folks who maybe didn't know. I didn't know about it before I myself became disabled. I think this definition that Andrew posted of disability pride being striving for a better disabled world, but not necessarily meaning that you have to like being disabled every day. That is the missing piece for me. The year that I've had, the year of growth that I've had in terms of embracing my disabilities and embracing mobility aids and access needs and performing in an off-Broadway play in a wheelchair and using a cane, showing what ambulatory mobility aid users, what that looks like, what that means. Even with all of that exposure, growth, I still have moments where I gaslight myself. On the really good days where I am, and see, I hate calling it good days because it makes it sound like feeling more disabled, that it's a bad day. So maybe I need to change my language on that too. But for now, when I have a good day or a low pain day, low symptom day, I almost don't let myself enjoy it because I am either gaslighting myself thinking, well, if I can do this and maybe I'm not really disabled, or I know that if I push myself too hard to like embrace the low symptom day, then I'm going to be in a flare up the next week. And then on the flip side, when I'm having a very, very high symptom day, a flare up or a bad day, as I was calling it, it's often filled with so much negative emotion. And so I'm trying to find a way now to shorten that gap between the two so that I can find some kind of neutrality with it all. And honestly, embracing higher support mobility aids like my forearm crutches, going from my cane to my forearm crutches has been really transformative for me. Commuting to the city, I had an audition. I brought my forearm crutches and I almost only brought one forearm crutch, but I ended up bringing both. And I'm so glad I did because even though that morning I felt fine, I felt like I was going to have a low to no symptom day. I really never have no symptoms in a day. But anyways, I was feeling pretty good. Partway through the day, my leg started flaring up. And for part of the day, I couldn't even really walk on it. I could barely put pressure on it. And so I was so glad I had my crutches with me, obviously, to relieve that pressure and continue on with my day. And it made the symptomatic day more tolerable. It made the symptomatic day less frustrating. I had to embrace the accommodations that I needed to continue on living my life. Shocker. But had I not embraced my forearm crutches that day, my flare up would have lasted longer. My frustration would have been higher. My pain would have been higher. There's so many elements of that day that would have been so much worse. And I think disability pride right now, anyway, for me, is looking like learning from my own experience and speaking from that truth, striving for a better disabled world in my advocacy work. I think it's starting with me. I'm like baby advocate at this point, but that's the goal, right? Just to keep growing and learning and helping educate others so that there's a better disabled world. As Andrew Gerza says, wow, I have to message this human, let them know how much they've impacted me with this one post. Anyway, that's what disability pride is looking like for me right now. That's what dynamic disability means to me and is looking like for me right now. And in the spirit of embracing the dynamic part of my disability and embracing mobility aids, I am really excited for the videos that are coming up soon. I'm going to the Rolettes experience. So I'm going to be sharing videos from that. I'll be vlogging there. You can look forward to a video while I pack and talk about what that looks like. I'm learning to embrace my new wheelchair. I'm learning how to use it, and I am fully immersing myself in using it very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. It really, really, really helps me as a very brand new baby YouTuber. If you subscribe, if you like, share this video if you found it informative and you think someone else can learn something from it. Comment below. I think I have 13 subscribers at the point of filming this. And so if all 13 of you comment, you know I got the time to respond to you directly. So let's just keep chatting, keep growing, keep learning. And I got to finish my electrolytes. All right, I finished mine. I hope you finished your hydration too. Cheers.